When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. This is the best job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can create an amazing life in sales. And today's guest is definitely no stranger to that journey. I'd like to welcome Dr. Chris Gray. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Drewbie. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this one, man, but I want to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of a story, and it starts with kind of a big fail, but ends well. So this was early in my career, probably, oh boy, almost 25 years ago. I had moved from Chicago to Arkansas. And started with a small agency and it was a decision that was a little out there, but ended up being the catalyst for my career. And I led the insights team for the small agency, and we had a sales meeting with a very large pharmaceutical company. And this was a big deal for us. We were a small agency. I mean, we had some big clients, but this would be a very substantial client. And so we wanted to share. They considered me, like, because I'm a psychologist and been working in marketing. They really kind of considered me the tip of the spear when it came to like new business, kind of showcasing what I do and how I do it, and then kind of working from there. And so we flew up to New Jersey, where all the pharmaceutical companies are, and we sat down, and there was probably 4 or 5 of us on our side, and another 4 or 5 on their side. And I started talking about what I do in psychology, and was thinking it was going very well. And I finished speaking, and there was an older gentleman on the other side of the table, and he stood up and he pounded his fist on the table. I'm not kidding. And he said, "We will never work with you. We don't do this. We will never work with you. This meeting is over." And like, what? It was devastating. Like, what? I didn't even know what he was reacting to, or what he just kind of exploded. And I noticed that when he was doing, like, I looked at their other team members, and they were all kind of like, "What?" So they said, "Well, let's why don't we take a break?" And he's like, "I'm gonna have, because our CEO was there, our head of accounts was there. He's like, I just want to talk to the CEO and the head of accounts." And everyone else left the room, including the older gentleman. And I remember going down to their lobby and just like sitting down and being, my career's over. This is bad. And after about half an hour, the rest of our team came down, and apparently this older gentleman had some really bad experiences with someone claiming to have like psychological expertise, and it didn't work out, and it was, and
there was some trauma there.
Yeah, exactly. And so the our CEO said, "Look, their C-level folks were very apologetic about this, and we didn't really have time to talk about selling into them, but as a to make it up to us, they were coming down to Arkansas to meet with Walmart." And they said, "What we're going to do is we'll just give you guys, we'll stay an extra day, and we'll come to your agency, and we'll spend a day with you guys. And what we want you to do is give us some kind of experience that will prove to us that we should be more strategic about how we sell at retail." And so they were like, "Great, great, great." And then our CEO said, "Yeah, Chris, you got this, right?" Okay, sure. And so what originally was suggested was just that we set them up with some shoppers and go into stores and have them kind of do shop alongs and follow these people around as they sort of navigated the store and their categories and everything. And I thought, well, that's great, but I don't think that's going to have the impact you think it's going to. Yeah, that's a fairly common thing that people do in market research, particularly in retail. And I said, let me, think about it and think if I can come up with something with more impact. And so I came up with this idea of not just having them follow shoppers around the store, but actually putting them in the shoes of a shopper and having to go to the store and navigate the store themselves with specific goals in mind, specific items they needed to buy, and all of that. And so we created this. I created this program called Shopper Passport, and the way it worked was that they would work in teams of 2 or 3, and each team would receive a packet of materials. And in that packet were a profile of their shopper that included not just things like demographics and that sort of thing, but also like any special needs they had, their family dynamics, likes, dislikes, any allergies or aversions to things, and a shopping list of about 10 items that they needed to buy, and a budget. And we preloaded little Visa cards that they could spend, but that was all they could use. And we set it up in such a way that there were challenges along the way. So, like, for example, one of the characters was a single mom with teenagers and had a very limited budget. And as she gets to the store, she gets a call, realizes that her cell phone bill had come in far more expensive than she expected. So now she's got $10 less in her budget to spend. And therefore, she did not have enough money to buy everything on the list. So now they'd have to make some choices. And the reason they work in teams is so that they have to talk these out and make them, sort of manifest them versus just them being an internal conversation. And we did this. I remember before we went, our CEO said, "Chris, I don't know if this is going to work. This is on you." And I'm like, okay, trust me. They went, they struggled, they made decisions. And when they came back, they as a team would have to unpack their purchases and kind of explain to us what their thinking was, what challenges they experienced, why they made the choices they did. And there was actually the CMO of this pharmaceutical company ended up getting so frustrated shopping for his own category that they ended up leaving the store without buying anything from the category. And it was a tremendous experience. It was a tremendous success. In fact, they awarded us the work without ever having to pitch because they were so convinced that this was an important thing that they needed to consider and really be strategic about, how they create these experiences for shoppers in their categories. So then fast forward another, 5-6 years, we used this then over and over again with different clients or potential clients very successfully. And we had a large CPG company approach us and say, we're having our sales and marketing conference coming up, and we'd like to give you guys a day to do this. We've heard about the Shopper Passport program that you have. We really would like to have you take, our sales and marketing teams to do this. We're like, great, that sounds amazing. How many people are we talking here? And they said, oh, it'll be about 700 people.
Just a few. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So after my eyes stopped bugging out, we just realized this is going to be amazing. This is going to be an incredible experience to do this. And it took months of planning. There were so many logistics involved. We had, with 700 people, we had each team goes to one retailer, but we couldn't send all 700 people to one retailer. So we ended up having 17 different retailers that we had to scope out, get permission to do this, all of that. We had 17 different buses to go to each of the retailers. We had to divide them into teams from this conference and everything. The logistics were crazy. And I think probably the thing I'm most proud of is we didn't lose anybody along the way because it was pretty considerable. But this was a week-long sales and marketing conference, and when they polled their attendees, it was considered the single experience of the entire week that had the most impact on their day-to-day jobs. And it is one of the pinnacles of my career. I loved doing it. It was just a moment where you really see people's lights turn on. And that to me is always something that's very exciting. And it really helped me develop one of the key principles that I always keep close to my heart, which is experience is undeniable. It's one thing to talk about your consumers, and the challenges they face, and try to get some understanding of that. It's another thing to put yourself in their shoes and actually have to struggle with that yourself and feel the consequences of that. It is life changing, and it is perspective changing, and it's one of the things that I'm most proud of.
There's so many layers to this that I absolutely
Yeah.
love. So like, as a sales guy who understands marketing is the key to writing your own paycheck, I really want to touch on the depth that you went to here on the customer journey, right? Because when you get into sales, they'll tell you like, hey, here's your customer avatar, right? This is who he
Right.
is. This is his he lives here. He makes X amount, like some very basic level things. But when you take it that 7 to 8 steps further, and you
Yeah.
literally say, hey man, all right, you're gonna walk in their shoes for a day, you're gonna have the experience, you're gonna face the actual challenges mentally, physically,
Right.
spiritually, right? When you're put in a position that you have to make a sacrifice somewhere to take care of something that's important to you, that's the level of emotional connection that fantastic salespeople understand and they
Yes.
can touch to. And so how have you like taken that experience and been able to really leverage it in the sense of, okay, now that you know the customer journey, here's what the conversation needs to look like so that you can get them to the point of sale.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and it's so important, and I think I am a big proponent of customer avatars and consumer journeys. I think though that we need to take them further because they can become very intellectualized, or they don't necessarily have the impact they once did because they're so common now, and like, oh yeah, I know that. And I think that the key is to always be asking yourself, what don't I know? What more is there to learn? Or what if I'm wrong about this? There's a certain amount of intellectual humility, I think, that makes for a great salesperson because you can't be curious without intellectual humility, and you can't learn if you're not curious. And so I think that it really starts with asking yourself and being honest with yourself about those kinds of questions of, what don't I know? I don't know everything. If you come at it with like, oh yeah, I got this, you're not learning. You're not, and you're getting left behind because consumers are always changing. Their behavior is always changing. Their needs, their approaches to shopping or buying are always changing. And if you decide that you know it, you got it down, then you're going to miss so many opportunities. It's also a setup for blind spots and biases that can get in the way of making the sale. And so I think it starts there. And when you do that, what that automatically will incur is, what else can I add or change or edit with this avatar or this consumer journey that I can keep learning more and more about the consumer and their experience and their lives and what matters to them. And so I think it is just always pushing yourself to be curious, and to know, like, nobody knows everything. Nobody knows everything about anything. In fact, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, and that really fuels me. And so I really think it's a mindset more than anything.
I love the way that you broke it down into the curiosity aspect. And I want to kind of touch on this a little bit with an analogy that just came to me because think about Coca Cola, right? The soda brand. We all know and love Coca Cola. Not everybody loves it, but like we do. It's the number one's American
Right.
brand. But think about the fact that even though we know Coca Cola, if you get within the depth of it, a can of Coca-Cola tastes different than a 20 ounce. And a 2 liter has a different flavor than what comes out of the soda machine at McDonald's. And
Yeah.
so, even though it's the exact same avatar, if you will, there are nuances to it that make a big difference. And that's what I
Yeah.
think Chris is really touching on, when the sense of the humility of going and being curious about the individual that you're working with, and being able to ask those questions and being able to know, like, okay, cool, you're Coke. I love that. But are you coming from a fountain? Ice? No
Right.
ice? Are you someone that, is it a can fresh out of a hot car, or is it from an ice cold cooler? Like, there's levels and layers to the nuance there that I really appreciate you went to the depths of sharing, Chris, because
Yeah.
this is really where I nerd out on the stuff. I love it. And so I'd be curious, being someone that has your marketing prowess, how did you step into the world of actually selling this as a service to somebody? Because I think there's a layer to, like, what is your sales superpower here now that you know all these things?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I for most of my career, and I've been a consumer psychologist for 3 decades. I was in ad world. I was working in agency world, um, and it was about 5 years ago, a little more than 5, 6 years ago, that I decided it was time to branch out on my own, and because I really wanted to deepen my approach with psychology and really hone in on that. And I think it's difficult when you're in an agency, because I am so niche that I end up doing all kinds of things that really weren't in my wheelhouse. And I wanted to really focus on the psychology aspect. And so that for me was the starting point. And then, you know, selling this, I don't feel like I have to sell very much. It's more teaching. It's more um, being of service. It's more offering people perspectives and insights. And when you add value that way, people want to work with you. And I think that really is the key aspect of it, is how can I always be adding value to a customer, to a potential client, to someone who you may never work with or may never hire you, but maybe they will spread the word about you, or refer someone to you. And that's happened many, many times. So it's so funny. If I'm an expert in sales and marketing, but I don't feel like I sell all that much, even though I know I really am. But just a different approach.
Well, there's that humility coming to the surface there, man, because someone like you that is clearly a master in understanding humans, how they think, how they make decisions, the way that we can help them help themselves get their ultimate dream desire, whether it's being able to afford all the groceries that they got to get for their teenage kids, or being able to take themselves to a level of deep, deep, deep understanding of their customer that's going to allow them to really take their business, their offer, their service to that next level. And man, we could probably nerd out on this for several more hours, because I
Absolutely.
know we're on like this intellectual plane here, but I want to be respectful of your time. How do we come
Of
find
course.
you, follow you, check out more of this amazing content and material, and learn more about what you do, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah, a few different ways. I'm on LinkedIn. You could find me. My handle is Dr. Chris. And from there, you can kind of find all different ways to connect. If you go to my website, the Bycologist, BYCOLOGIST.com, then you can sign up for my monthly newsletter. I do a deep dive once a month into a particular aspect of consumer psychology that includes not just the smart side of it, but also like what to do with it. Why is this important to sales and marketers? And then how do you employ this to make it, and as I like to say, an unfair advantage? Because I think that what I bring to the table, that deep understanding of the inner worlds of your customer, is an unfair advantage against your competition, because whoever understands their customer best typically wins. And they win the sale, they win the customer, they win loyalty, they win lifetime, customers. And that really is important. I also just started, literally this week, a Substack as well. So I do a lot of writing on Substack. Well, started to do a lot of writing on Substack. So you can find me there as well. And that's the Bycologist. And so there's a lot of different ways. And by all means, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or shoot me a note. Always happy to hear from people.
Hey, thank you again, Dr. Chris. I really appreciate you being here, sharing this amazing conversation. I say it a lot. Understanding marketing is the key to being able to write your own paycheck in sales. So this was a masterclass. Truly grateful for your time. If you guys know, if you enjoyed the show, right, you spent a little time with us today, you learned something, share it out on social media. Put it over on LinkedIn. Tag me, tag Dr. Chris. Let the world know that you invested a little bit of your most valuable asset here, that you got something from it. Maybe send it to somebody you know who kind of sucks at their marketing because they have no idea what their customers are actually going through. You don't have to tell them that, but like just send them this episode, tell them it made them think, made you think of them. And as always, be sure to check out the store on callthedamnleads.com. If you have a story of your own that you want to share with us, callthedamnleads.com/podcast. That'll get you booked on the show. We'd love to have you. We'd love to tell your story because this is the greatest job on earth. And we'll see you guys next time. Go call those damn leads.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind that speed, so breathe in deep.